Welcome to the Paddle Like a Girl podcast. Hello and welcome.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I got the giggles today.
Okay, we're going to leave that in. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paddle Like a Girl podcast. Today we have Becki Peckham. Becki is a visual storyteller, filmmaker, and co-creator of the popular YouTube channel Becki and Chris. With a background in graphic design and a passion for documenting life through a cinematic lens, Becki has explored everything from DIY home renovations and urban travel to solo truck camping and backcountry adventures. In addition to Becki and Chris, she also shares her personal adventures on her own channel, Nothing Epic. Becki is currently building an off-grid campsite on a plot of land they recently purchased and continues to inspire others through honest storytelling and beautifully crafted videos. I met Becki through Paddle Like a Girl. She recently signed up for the guided trip on the Teslin River, and I'm super excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for asking me. I feel like a little bit of a fraud being on a paddle specific podcast because I don't really I'm really new to it. So I feel like an imposter syndrome kind of, creeping in a little bit.
Okay, well, you absolutely don't have to feel that way because it's not paddle specific. It's more like for the Paddle Like a Girl audience. And like the idea is people who are doing stuff outside, really. And so I'm really interested to hear like how you came to sign up for this trip. Mm-hmm. And, I discovered your YouTube channel after you mentioned, you're like, hey, I have a YouTube channel. And so I'm like, let's check out the YouTube channel. I'm like, holy shit, this isn't just a YouTube channel. It's incredibly professional and cinematically beautiful. And so
thank you.
Yeah. So, and then of course you are doing a lot of camping and you recently started your new YouTube channel called Nothing Epic. I love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
So yeah, I just thought you would be a great person to chat with and get to know a bit more about and to learn about your journey. So
well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm sure you have a lot of insight too. And also and we'll talk more about it, but you mentioned, because we were, in your bio, I said you're building an off-grid cabin.
Yeah.
And you said, I think that was the original idea, but then you switched it to camping because you recently kind of discovered your love for the outdoors.
Yes.
So that's very exciting and very relevant, I think, for this audience. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So I mentioned before we hit record that I went back into your YouTube channel. I just kind of wanted to get an idea, how long you've been doing it and where your channel started. Was it, because I know that you have a few videos in there that are how to filmmaking. So tips and tricks on how to kind of make your videos better. Mm-hmm. So that was what I imagined your YouTube channel started with, but it didn't.
Correct.
It was with DIY stuff, actually.
Yes.
So what was the inspiration behind starting your YouTube channel? And then how did you get to where you are today?
Okay, please cut me off if this is way too long-winded, but I'll try to keep it short. But it is funny because looking back at the beginning where those first couple of videos were home renovation videos, they are pretty relevant to what I told you in the email where I was like, yeah, we want to build an off-grid cabin, but we're having analysis paralysis. And it went from a full-blown house in the woods to it's stripped down. So it kind of all comes full circle. But so, okay, where do I start? Well, Chris and I started a home renovation blog in 2011 when we bought our first home. I was obsessed with home renovations. Mike Holmes was my guy. I was obsessed. Scott McGilvery, all of them Canadian guys. I'm from Newfoundland, by the way. Yeah, I love those guys. And so, yeah, we started this blog and just documented our renovations. We had never really done it before. And both of us were photographers, my husband and I. And, over time, videos started becoming more popular and we were like, well, maybe we can start a home renovation YouTube channel. And, we were living in St. John's. We had to go away for a year because Chris was doing training in Vancouver and we were going to come back and live in the house and we were going to buy land in Newfoundland and we were going to build a cabin. It was going to be this whole thing. And so we were like, the YouTube channel would be a perfect place to document all of that, switch the blog to video. Cause it's way more natural for both of us to storytell that way than writing. And so we were like, okay, great. And then we did a couple of projects on the channel and then we had to move to Vancouver for a year. Chris was doing his fellowship. And so I just up and rooted with him and we left. And I was like, I'll never have another opportunity in my life basically to move to another province or place really for 1 year, like without the sadness of like leaving home. It was like all of the excitement about living in a new place with like coming home at the end of it. Didn't work out that way, unfortunately, but that mindset was a good way to kind of transition there. But so when we moved, we were like, okay, well, we got this YouTube channel. Like we have no more home renovation to like make content about. So like, what are we going to do? And I was absolutely obsessed with the show Departures. Have you ever seen it? It's from like 2007, I think 2008, Canadian show. 3 guys, they travel the world. It was almost like YouTube, like travel vlogging before that was like a thing. The show is incredible. It's been a massive inspiration for like my work. And so it's like, okay, let's make a travel video. This is going to be like my excuse to do it. And so switched to making travel videos. The first video took me like 50 or more hours to make. Like it was just insane. Like it was not sustainable, but we were there for a year and I was like, what better opportunity than to like make the most of our year there than to like make a video every week. We have to get out on the weekend. We have to film something. And and that's what we did. And I basically committed to like making a video a week and we did make the most of Vancouver. We saw a lot. And by the end of it, I was like, wow, I feel like that was a really fulfilling year. We got to see a lot of stuff. I got to develop a lot of skills. And unfortunately, we didn't end up being able to go back to Newfoundland, ended up here in Buffalo, New York. During that year, kind of switched into doing a little bit of filmmaking photography tutorials just because we had a background in that. It felt like a natural progression. And then the channel just kind of became a mess of like photo, video stuff, travel stuff, home renovation stuff. And it was just kind of like, whatever we're doing, we're going to document. And if it feels like a good fit, that's what we're going to do. And so that's how our channel kind of started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find it hard to maintain, I guess, like viewership when you're switching between the different content topics?
Yeah, pretty like it was hard, but I think because we started where we were kind of like, oh, here we're doing a travel thing and here we're doing some home stuff and like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this. I think that people like, because it was more of a lifestyle channel, they were like, oh, eventually they were like, I'll watch anything because we're kind of coming here for you and Chris and like whatever wacky shit you get up to. And I was like, great, that's awesome. But I do think like that spread definitely hindered the growth of the channel for sure. Cause like, you know, everyone says like niche down, but like, that's great, but also like, what about your joy? Like, we didn't really want to niche down at that point, and it wasn't really sustainable for us to do so. So
yeah, I feel like that's the best way to do it is make people watch for you instead of like what it is you're doing. They just want to watch because they enjoy the person behind the channel. So that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely the hardest to grow for sure, but
yeah,
you know.
But I feel like then people are committed, like they are really. It doesn't matter what you do. Like I said, it's just like it takes. It's a slow growth, but they're there for the journey. It doesn't matter what you do.
I'm sure that you find that with your guys' channel, with like your stuff and all the family adventures you guys go on. I'm sure people are there just for the family to see what's on the go, no matter where you go, what you're doing. For you, it's like all about personality there too.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a small portion of the audience that they don't really care what we do. They just like us and the kids, but there's definitely people who are like, I came here for camping, so I'm out, you know.
Yeah,
but
we
it's
get
hard,
that too.
You know. Yeah. And but you kind of mentioned, you know, in order to, you're doing what you enjoy doing and you're documenting it, and you're obviously very, very good at documenting it. I mean, you have a background in photography and cinematography, and so was there ever a transition to, okay, well now the things we enjoy have just become work, and has that affected your relationship with YouTube and just recreational activity?
100%. I feel like I've always struggled with my relationship with the camera specifically. Like even before YouTube, I always I love photography so much, but it was up and down. Like I would go through periods where I didn't want to touch the camera, especially after I turned it into my job. I was like doing freelance before YouTube, worked at a marketing company, went to school for graphic design. So it was kind of like turning that passion of photography into a career kind of like soured it a little bit for me. And then of course, you know, YouTube, same thing. It's like after a while where you're like, oh, I have to post something this week. Well, I better film this thing. And it's like suddenly, oh, the renovation is ruined now and camera stuff is ruined. And to the point too, where like one of the reasons why I started my new channel is because Chris was just so burnt out with like our channel. He works a full-time job, and so like coming home after work to like film, he was just like, I can't handle this. Like anyway, it's just too much. It's feeling like work. It's not fun. And originally it was his hobby, and so we were like, okay, well, we need to stop that and protect whatever like your mental health and like our relationship. And so that's one of the reasons why I started my channel. But yeah, it's definitely crept in negative ways, but it's also been really positive in many other ways too. Yeah, it's tough.
And so your channel, I feel like it started off with your road trip. So overlanding, sorry, that's the word I was looking for. So you did that trip last year.
Yes.
How was that experience?
It was incredible, actually. I was shit-baked going into it because, originally we were filming it for our channel, and then, after I did the trip and came back and started doing post-production, and we were like, maybe we should put, the brakes on our channel because you're burnt out. Doesn't feel like a really great fit right now. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with the series? And I was like, well, I'll start my own channel. Perfect. I did half the trip solo anyway, so it was perfect. But I was really scared because that was my first time. I'm pretty new to camping, 5 years in, and depend on Chris a lot for helping me deal with some of my fears and anxieties around, being out there. And so I was just like, well, I'm just going to do this because I feel like it's a personal growth thing. Chris can't take a full month off work to come with me, so I'm just going to go and do it. And it was it blew my expectations out of the water. I thought I was going to be so scared the whole time, and by the end of the solo portion, I went for 4 or 5 days solo camping in the truck, and I was like, I could go for another 2 weeks. I love this.
Oh wow,
it was awesome.
Amazing. What would you say was your biggest challenge on that trip?
I think being alone and doing all of the long travel days solo, getting to camp, having to do all of the camp tasks solo, and then trying to manage those fears of who's around and am I safe here, and all of that. But I think just getting used to being by myself. I was afraid it was gonna be super lonely, but I wasn't. I was like, this is wicked.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what was it that made you want to sign up for this Teslin River trip?
Okay. So when I was a kid, I did this summer camp. Okay. And I was I don't know, it must have been 13 or 14. And there was one day in the summer camp where they put us all in canoes and we had to paddle across a lake. We got out, had a campfire, and then paddle back. And I was just like, oh my God, can you imagine paddling to a beach and staying overnight and having a fire and cooking a meal? I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I didn't grow up camping. We were not a camping family. I had never really camped at all, even then, but for some reason that idea obsessed me a bit. But being a 13-year-old kid, you don't think about oh, this is something I want to do. It was just oh, that's the thing that we just did at camp, and that's it. People don't do this. Right. And so I just never thought about it or mentioned it to anybody. And so when I started getting into the outdoors, and actually I found your husband's channel during that journey, and of course that fed me into a lot of this canoe content. Somebody from home, Justin Barber, he does these big expeditions, and I was like, whoa, this stuff is so cool. And they're doing the thing, they're in the canoe and they're paddling and doing the camping and the food, and holy shit, that's crazy. That's, and I was like, but I am not extreme like that. So I was like, I guess this doesn't apply to me because I don't know anything about this, or I have no camping experience. I'm not I don't know, I don't have the experience. And so I was like, well, wait, maybe I could find my own way in this. And so, obviously started camping, picked up a kayak, one of them foldable kayaks. And Chris and I just started doing a couple of little, take it around. We did this little, up in Quebec, I think it was called the Red River. We went for a half a day. It was super leisurely paddle down the river, had our little lunch on the beach. And I was like, I'm obsessed with this. And I was like, so one of my goals was one of these days I'm going to learn how to canoe. I'm going to go up to camp and I'm going to do a trip like this. Whether it's solo or whether Chris comes with me, I would love to have this experience. And so when the trip came up and it was oh my God, this could be my chance to do this on my own. Cause I'm on a little bit of a journey on my own self-sufficiency and self-reliance, Yeah. But then it sold out and I was like, oh shit. And I was devastated. I was like, oh fuck, I really fucked up. I missed that opportunity, and that could have been it. And so when you had the second one come on, I was just like, I got to do it. And so I was probably one of the first people to sign up because I had my timer on. I was like, I'm doing this trip. I don't give a shit. This is one of my goals. This is something I've been wanting to do. And so that's how I got into the trip. Long story short.
I guess the feeling of regret or missing out made you realize I really should have signed up for it.
Yes, absolutely. I keep telling Chris I have this feeling in my stomach sometimes. It's the yes feeling. I want to make a video about it at some point, but it's a feeling where something like an opportunity comes up, or like I see something and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And sometimes there's like fear involved in it, but there's just like a internal voice that's just like, just do it, just go, like push, push, push. And I had the yes feeling for this, and I was like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Good for you,
So
because it's scary to sign up for such a big trip, and it's a big expense. You're going
Yes.
with a group of people you've never met before. You're out there for, 12 days is a full trip, but like on the river for 10 days. And if you've never done like a backcountry canoe trip, you can be in you can be pretty vulnerable out there,
Yeah.
because you're exhausted and you're like physically and emotionally, and you're around people you're like maybe not comfortable, confiding in yet. And so, but the nice thing is that it really brings you all together. So
yeah, for sure.
by the end, you'll have made a few friends for sure, friends for life, because it is really a once in a lifetime experience for a lot of people.
Definitely. I'm so excited. I'm very nervous, but like also just really looking forward to that level of just like connecting with people on like such a niche specific thing.
Yes.
Like I said, like I'm obsessed with camping. It's all I think about. And so I can't imagine that, like, I'm sure everyone on this trip is probably also going to really like camping too.
Yeah.
10 days in the backcountry. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. And so have you ever done a canoe trip?
I have never done a canoe trip, but I have done remote backcountry camping.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about your backcountry camping
Yes.
experiences?
Yeah, for sure. The first time I ever camped was on a remote helicopter trip to Newfoundland.
Okay.
I got thrown in head first. Basically, Chris was like, my husband is a pilot and we have like a 17-year-old helicopter. And he was like, I want to fly to Newfoundland. And if you're not familiar with the province, getting there, it is pretty rugged. There is no cell reception. There's not even radar coverage. The radio scanty. There's like barely any airports up there. And so like the planning of that trip, it's like you're trying to find airport to airport, but we're like carrying fuel and like there's no radar information. So it's like, what's it doing outside? Yes, we're clear. Okay, we can fly. Uh-oh, the ceiling's dropping. We have to land. And so we were like going into the trip, like his uncle was a pilot. He did the trip in a plane and he was like, it is sketchy. Like the black flies are brutal. It's like very rugged. And I was like, oh God, okay, like I got to level up and prepare. So I was like, let's get a tent just in case. Like we got a cheap ass like Coleman tent, went to like Dick's Sporting Goods and just we bought some good stuff that we still have that we still use, but like just the cheapest. And we're like, just in case. Yeah. And we camped 3 times on that trip. The first time was on a top of a hill because the ceiling dropped and it was getting dark and it was sketchy. And we were 5 minutes away from an airport and we were like, this isn't worth it. Like, let's just set it down and camp. And I was like, oh my God, bears. Oh my God, ticks. Oh my God, there's mosquitoes. Like my ass is, how do I pee? Like all of that. Like I'd never done that before.
Right.
And then the night after we found ourselves basically camping on a rock because same thing. There was like no weather information. So we're like, oh, it's clear. We'll go as far as we can. And then if it gets shitty, we put it down, and we ended up putting it down. We had a massive headwind. You know, with canoeing, I'm sure you know all about headwinds. They're brutal. Same thing with aircraft. It's like we have so much fuel to get this way, but like if there's a headwind, we're going to be messed up. So, so we ended up being stranded on this rock. And that was my second night. Like I had started my period, and it was just like I didn't know what I was doing, and I was so stressed, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. And when I came back from that trip after like the trauma kind of settled out a little bit, I was like, I think I might like that if I knew what to do. So that was like my first experience. And then ever since then, we've kind of done a couple, like we were just up down, I guess, in Utah in the kind of Badlands area. Different there because there's cell reception everywhere and there's weather information, which is like amazing. So just kind of finding public lands to land on and camping. And yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Oh my gosh.
But not by canoe.
I think helicopter might be a little scarier than a canoe. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I don't know, man. Some of them rapids you guys do, some of those rapids look really sketchy.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll do rapids if I have to, but I would prefer not to. Mm-hmm. But, if you can swim and you've got your life jacket on, it's like the canoe, it's like your biggest concern is it dumping, of course, and then the inconvenience of having to gather your things. I don't want to say I have a fear of flying, but I would prefer to drive. I like road trips, which
Yep.
probably sounds ridiculous because I know the chances of getting into a car accident are much higher than a plane crash. But that's just, I don't know, I feel more in control when I'm
Yep.
driving versus, but
I'm right along there with you. It's why I love overlanding so much, because I can drive and
Yeah.
get that experience. But like,
Yeah.
I have like pretty severe flying anxiety. And so I've pushed myself really hard for Chris because he's obsessed with flying and I love camping. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, well, how can we put our passions together? And unfortunately, that also meant me like going way outside my comfort zone. And I'm usually just like shitting my pants up there and like trying not to barf because I get motion sick a little bit. But I'm used to battling that. So it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel you. And small planes, absolutely not. No.
Oh gosh.
I won't
Yeah.
do the small plane.
Yeah.
No.
Those are, I've been on a couple and they're not as horrible as I guess I would have imagined. But I have had motion sickness, I guess, a couple times on them. And I feel like I do get motion sickness fairly easily. More easily on a boat though, for sure. Like a ferry. Oh, the worst.
Gross. Yeah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. I really want to do Antarctica, but I will never do it because of the Drake Passage.
Oh, gosh.
Not a chance. I can't imagine getting trapped on that boat with the Drake shake.
Oh my gosh.
For 48 hours. I would literally die. Like,
so I don't know about that, but it sounds terrifying. Big water for me is like a hard no.
yeah.
It's a hard no. Like Jim's always like, oh, I want to sail the South Pacific. I'm like, you're going to have to find a new wife.
Yep.
Or you can do it by yourself. But like, it's a hard no.
Yeah, that's scary.
I'll go
I
to
would
the
not.
islands, but on the water, no, it's too much. Too many things can happen and you're too far from safety. So
Yeah, I agree. Chris's mom is really into like her like partner likes boating, and she's like, I hate that Chris flies helicopters. I wish he was into boating. And I was like, no, helicopters can glide. We can land anywhere. Like you're on a boat, you're like
Right.
out there, and like if you're sick, there's nowhere to get off. Like you're just floating in a fluid medium and just barfing it. Like that's my nightmare.
yeah, no thanks. I'm good. But a canoe is okay.
Yeah.
On smaller bodies of water. That is good.
I literally dream about that, like just the idea of just going on a river, a small body of water, and like a little like sandy, little bitty like ditty there, just like pull over.
Yeah.
Have your little, and I know I like deal with that. I don't know what the word is, but like fantasize about. It's not real what I think about.
Right. Like you've
Maybe
romanticized it a little bit.
Romanticize. That's the word. Yeah, I romanticize it a lot, which like the reality is like shitting in a hole and like the rain and like all that stuff. But type 2 fun, I guess.
Yeah, definitely type 2 fun, but also there are moments that are like that. Like especially
That's
on the Teslin, like the current is perfect. You know, the weather for the most part is probably going to be pretty good. And it's really, I think that the hardest part is, you know, if you're uncomfortable pooping outside, definitely is one thing. But for me, I think the hardest part is the packing and like the in between, because I love the camping and I love the canoeing. It's the like packing up the canoe every day and organizing everything and getting everyone like organized and together and in the boats at the same time. And then once you're on the water, it's like, okay, we did it. We're on the water. It's all good. But it's those in between, like the transitions, I think are the most challenging to get used to, especially if you haven't done much like canoe tripping and like moving every day. Or you're packing up every morning and setting up camp every night. I think that's like the hardest part to get used to and getting into the flow of things. So, are you going to plan to try to do a canoe trip this summer before the big one?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think I'm doing a workshop with Paddle Like a Girl at some point before the trip, which will be good.
Okay.
Hopefully learn a couple of strokes and stuff. I know kayaking is different than canoeing, but I do have a kayak, so I'm planning on at least trying to put in a couple kilometers a couple of times a week just to do a bit of training. We have like the Erie Canal. The unfortunate thing about our little kayaks, we have those like origami ones. They don't like a wake. It's pretty sketchy with any bit of moving waters. But anyway, so I'm hoping to get a couple of paddles, we'll call it in.
Okay.
But definitely a shitload of camping before, because I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll just have a blast the whole time. I mean, and whatever you're not like in the moment enjoying will always be that type 2 fun. Like afterwards you're like, well, maybe that wasn't so bad. That's what brought me back, honestly. Like I think the thing that made me love it in the beginning was the type 2 fun, where I was like, I remember being so miserable in that moment and wanting to just like be at home and be done with it. But then we got through it, and then I was fine, and here I am
Mm-hmm.
wanting to go back. So
Yes. I have those
there's
exact same feelings with
moments.
like, yeah, with any of our trips that we've done that have been like type 2 fun and heli, where I've been like so scared or like whatever. And then it's like, oh, wait, like maybe like that was actually fun. And especially if you come back and like edit a video and then you've like
Yeah.
tricked yourself into thinking that it was like fun the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, that was good. That was a good time.
Yeah, you edit all the like perfect, beautiful parts and edit out anything that looked negative whatsoever. And you're like, this is perfect. Nothing went wrong. Everything was just enjoyable 100% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so with your new channel, Nothing Epic, first of all, I think I understand why, but I want to get like your explanation as to why you called it Nothing Epic.
Okay.
And just an idea of like what we can expect, what kind of trips you're going to be putting on there and what kind of content you're going to be putting out.
Okay, so the name is, there's kind of a couple of reasons why I went with that name, because normally like when people come to me and they are like, oh my God, I'm starting a YouTube channel, like what should I call it? I'm always like, call it your name, personal branding, that's what you should do. But over the last couple of years, I just felt like I was sharing way too much of my life on the internet, and it felt really like raw. Like when we took a break, I think it was really obvious because people were like, are you getting a divorce? Da, da, da. And I'm like, no, man, we're just like burnt out. And it's like, holy shit. Like there are a lot of people who are invested and like, there's that like parasocial relationship, and then it feels very like raw. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to start a new thing, I almost feel like I want a name in front of my name just as a little bit of a barrier. I think that's just a mental thing because physically there's not really one there, but just a little bit of a barrier to like step back and have that there. But the main reason why I called it Nothing Epic was because a number of years ago, I got a troll comment from somebody who like, we had just done like some helicopter trip, and I was super proud of like the series that we made. And they were like, nothing you do is epic. Everything sucks. You're so ugly and disgusting and like all of this shit. And I was like, okay, you're an asshole. But also like, that's really funny too, because like, I thought this was like kind of a cool trip. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm taking that. I'm going to use it, but I'm also going to use it as a reminder that not everything on this channel has to be epic. Like that the little like mundane stories are worth telling, that you don't have to be doing like crazy shit to like make YouTube videos, that stories can be made of just like the smallest life experiences. And so that's kind of like why I called the channel that. And so in terms of content, I think it's going to be a mix of like the little things like, hey, I'm going camping and I'm cooking a steak. And that is the video.
Yeah.
Simple, you know, I think those stories are important. And then, you know, some of the bigger trips, like I've got a couple of goals of like places and things that I want to do. Of course, the Paddle Like a Girl, Teslin River trip. That's like going to be, hopefully, not just the trip, but there's like, I'm going to do a remote first aid course and like all that stuff. And so just to kind of
awesome.
talk about a little bit of fear and like that kind of stuff through that. And then Chris and I are going to do the Trans-Labrador Highway this year in my truck, which will be really exciting. So I think I'll make a film around that. And then otherwise it will probably just be like little camping things and little kit videos, which I like absolutely love kits and putting stuff together. So good outlet for that, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I can relate to the Nothing Epic idea because that was kind of why I named my channel Tori Goes Outside, because I'm like, you know, I feel like Tori's adventures sounds too grand. Like it's not always going to be an adventure. It might just be like literally I'm outside my house. So I like setting the expectations right from the beginning, like nothing epic. So
exactly. It's all about managing the expectations. And then if it's like something crazy, but like everything fits with Tori Goes Outside. Like literally you could just be, like you said, go outside and like do your maple syrup and like it fits. Or you could go on a big ass backcountry canoe trip with like for 2 weeks or go to Utah or wherever, or truck camping or whatever. And it's like, if you're outside, works. And it keeps it kind of open and broad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The expectations is a huge thing, especially when you're like opening yourself up to public comments.
Yes.
And judgment and all of that. So do you have any methods or like mantras or anything that you follow to help you face any negative comments or negativity through your channels?
Sort of. I have like a very low threshold for the hide user from channel a thing. If anybody makes a comment that I feel is like not nice or inappropriate or it doesn't feel good to read, I will hide the user immediately. I also don't check comments usually after the first 12 hours. From mine and Chris's channel, like it seemed like after the video went live, after the first like 8 to 12 hours, that's when like the trolls will come in. So I just decided we're not looking at the comments after that because the hurtful ones can be there. And
Yeah.
of course, like keyword blockers, like anything that I find hard. Unfortunately, got a lot of comments before about like my weight. And so I didn't like that, really self-conscious about that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm putting a bunch of this in my blocked keywords. I don't want to see this. It's inappropriate for people to be commenting on my weight anyway. And so And then the other thing, and this is kind of stupid, but some of my friends in like the filmmaking space, we do this. We're always like, we got to channel the confidence, like the inner confidence of like a dude in tech. And so maybe that's kind of offensive, but I feel like sometimes as like female creators, we have the imposter syndrome, especially in like male dominated spaces. And so I'm like, we need to channel like the inner, like what's the confidence of like the most popular YouTuber in this space. And like, that's the confidence like we need to have coming into stuff. And even if you don't actually have it, sometimes pretending can make you hit the upload button.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. Yeah, I feel like it's that's the most challenging part, is just feeling the pressure of like putting out content that everybody's going to love, but the reality is not everybody's going to love it.
Yes.
And so I love that you've created your own channel to share more of like yourself and your adventures. And even though your channel is called Nothing Epic, I think it is all epic because it's all
Thank you.
Can be relatable, but also just like your journey with the outdoors is really important to share, because I think I struggled with this. Like I would see other women who are doing things in the outdoors, and I would just assume that they've been doing this their whole lives. They grew up going to summer camps and they were camping with their family and blah, 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 which is not the case for a lot of women. Certainly not for me. And so I was very intimidated by people who looked like they were so well versed in the outdoor space and had it all together and just like so confident. And to know that you can get into this as an adult is really, really important, because I think getting outside is important for everybody to do. And whether you're 16 or 60 and it's your first camping trip, I think it's good to know that it is for all of us. So I appreciate you sharing your journey, and also just like the challenges behind it and like your fears, because we don't want to, for some reason, we don't want to talk about these things because we want to appear as though like we have it all figured out. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to following along on your Nothing Epic.
Thank you.
Journey.
There'll be a lot of talking about fears because I feel like I have a lot of them. Like I said, flying anxiety, some fears and phobias that I've been trying to get through, but also like I found it interesting when I was listening. I think one of the podcasts you were talking about your journey outside and that you didn't grow up doing it. And I was shocked by that because like watching you do what you do, it's like you look like you've been doing it your entire life. Like you got it locked down. And I'm like, damn, like that's so impressive. And I'm like, I'll never be like that. You know what I mean? Because I only started 5 years ago. So it's cool to even hear like with your story, that wasn't the case as well, right?
Yeah. And it was very like slow progress. Like even now I'm very insecure about certain things, and I still have a lot of fears, and I don't feel like I'm like I still have imposter syndrome with all of that, and like, I still haven't done a solo camping trip, so I am an imposter and all these things. And so but then I look back to where I started with my camping journey, and like the very first canoe trip I went on, which I was in my mid-20s. And so I look back and I think of the gear I brought and my attitude and just like the lack of knowledge and skill that I had. And I'm like, I have come a long way. And so it's nice to recognize that, but also, I don't know, I think we can learn from everybody too. So even if I'm following you and you're just getting started on your camping journey, I think that I will still absolutely learn some stuff from you and how you do things out in the backcountry. And also we don't have a lot of women making camping videos. There are, but in relation to like how many men are out there doing outdoor camping YouTube videos, there is not nearly as many women. So
yeah,
you need to put it out there.
It would be nice to see more for sure. And hopefully to like sharing some of the real parts of like the anxieties and the fears and like, here's how
Yes.
I'm dealing with like this, terrifying thing of shitting in a hole in the woods. It's like, I'm just going to talk about it on the internet because I don't have any shame about it. But like, I know that's really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And so if I can share some of my experiences, like maybe it might help somebody be like, oh, maybe I will try this. And it doesn't have to be like really extreme, like an ultralight backpacking thing. Like you could just pack your car full of any luxuries that make you comfortable. Even a toilet. I bring a toilet all the time when I'm truck camping because I just prefer to shit in a bag than a hole. Yeah. Sorry about the swearing, but
that's okay.
But yeah, and that's okay. And I think sometimes like with camping and filmmaking too, like that space, there's a lot of gatekeeping energy of like, you're not doing it right or you're not doing it legit. Yes. And I don't like that. Yeah. I like picking what works for you and getting outside. And that's the goal. It's just like you said, get outside. It is so healing no matter what. If you bring your toilet, your heated blanket, your batteries, like, or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get out there.
Yeah. And I think by you sharing that information, or us in general sharing that information, it will reduce barriers for people who are really focused on where am I going to go poo?
Yes.
If that's their like one thing, they're like, I want to do all of it except that. And then you get on there and you're like, I bring a toilet. I'm like, oh, I'll just bring a toilet. And that's totally fine. And it's whatever works for you. Maybe eventually you'll get to a point where you're like totally comfortable digging a hole. But yeah, I think reducing like those fears for people and like offering different options for them to just get started is really, really, really important. And I do think that there's a lot of like taboo subjects, like women, maybe we shouldn't be talking about where we're pooping, but we all poop, and we have to do it over the course of a week-long camping trip.
Yeah.
And periods in the backcountry. It's like, oh, we can't talk about that, but it's like,
yeah, it's a very real thing, and it's like, it's hard to manage out there,
Yeah. And it could, again, be another one of the things that is preventing somebody from heading out into the backcountry. So
100%.
I do think it's really beneficial to be sharing your story for people to consume, despite the, I don't know, maybe the naysayers that are out there about YouTube and YouTubers and whatever people may think.
Yeah. Or people who get weird about women talking about periods or poops, and it's like, come on, we're all human, bye.
Oh, I want to talk about your experience and your knowledge with building and DIY. So because I'm romanticizing DIYing. Okay. So you're romanticizing canoe tripping. I'm romanticizing like building things, like literally just anything. I just want to build things, even just like we have this unfinished room in our house that is literally half finished. Half of it has been drywalled. There are studs, framing, and we have the drywall. And literally we just for 6 years have not done anything about it.
Sounds like my primary bedroom.
Oh,
we have it torn up and we haven't touched it in 3 years. Anyway, continue.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like you have all these projects that you want to get to, right? But anyway, so I'm just curious, like, what your skill or knowledge was before starting all these DIY projects.
I grew up like watching Bob Vila's Home Again, or Bob, and This Whole House and stuff with my dad. And my dad and my uncles were like really into that. Like dad built furniture, he built our houses, and like, so I was always in the house like while the house was being built, like the drywall was going up, and I loved it, like the smell and like everything. And I was just like, I want to put in nails, and everyone was like, no, you can't touch the power tool because you're gonna get hurt. And I was like, oh man. And so I never got any real skills when I was growing up, but I was like exposed to it, and of course like watching HGTV, Mike Holmes, Scott McGillivray, all them. And so I was like adamant. I was like, we're gonna buy a house and it's gonna be a fixer-upper and we are gonna do it. And Chris was like, I don't know anything. And I was like, okay, well, like I've never used a tool, but like we're gonna do drywall. And so first day we get in the house and he's cutting drywall with a circular saw, and I was like, no, like that's a score and snap situation, like let me show you. And I was like, how do I know how to do this? I don't know, I guess just watching television. But like I just didn't really know, but like I guess from just watching stuff you kind of pick things up. I'm like, I know this is not the right way to do it, but I'm not really sure what the actual good way is. And so internet, calling my uncles, and then just like just doing it, like just practicing and like being okay with messing it up and starting over. And drywall is great because you could, especially if it's in your basement, you can mess up the plaster pretty bad and like sand it out. You can kind of fix it. And so just kind of getting in there and practicing and playing with it. Watch a couple of YouTube videos or tutorials to get like a feel for like what it's supposed to look like, and then just go at it and mess it up, learn from those mistakes, and then sand it out, see what it looks like, prime it. If it still looks bad, we're going to fix that, plaster over it. And like, as you just start doing it and playing and messing it up and trying to fix it, you kind of start learning and picking up things. Like, I messed up pretty bad the other day, and I didn't almost burn the house down, but I blew breaker pretty bad and scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I'm never touching that again. And Chris was like, no, this is fine. I do this all the time. Like, this happens to me all the time. So it's kind of just getting the confidence to dabble in it. But there's a lot of good resources on YouTube. So I'm like always like, I think I know how to do this, but I'm going to look it up. And sometimes there's like a really specific code or whatever. But yeah, I would just practice and try. I think your studs should be 16 on center. So when you're putting your drywall up, you want to have a lot of nice screws in there on the studs. You can get a drywall gun or just use like a driver. Make sure that those screws aren't too deep so they don't pop through the paper, but they're not like sticking out. So when you plaster over it, your knife doesn't get like stuck on the screw. And then you're golden.
I feel like you, and I just was chatting with Brooke, and she does a lot of building. And so I'm picking your brains because I've been like, it's something that I built a couple small things, but I really enjoy it. And I'm so fearful of trying anything bigger. I don't know why. I don't know, like, what's the worst that could happen is it just doesn't work. And it was a waste of money and time maybe, but maybe after chatting with you two and just kind of getting those tips, because I'm watching all these DIY things online. I'm like, there's so many things in my house that I'm like, I want to redo this and I want to do that. But I'm just so afraid, especially because it's your home and you're like, I don't want to do a crap job that we have to live with. So
I feel that very much. Start small and see, I feel that very much because I have like, with Chris and I, we've been together for a long time and we have our channel together. And so it's always like me and him, and I've become really dependent on him in many ways, especially with that kind of stuff, the DIY. And I'm like, I would love to do this. I'm like, no, I'll just wait for Chris to do it. And of course, Chris doesn't have time and I want to do it. I know I can do it. And so I've been like on this journey of just like trying it and messing it up. And then it's like, whoa, I did that. And that was a small project and it worked out. Well, now I can tackle this other project that is like the same type of skills, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, just don't cut your fingers off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm scared of.
Probably step number 1, don't cut off your fingers.
Yes. I'm scared of that.
I know. I'm so extra cautious when using any of these power tools. I'm just like always making sure my hands are out of the way when I'm finished cutting something, and like, I don't know, I'm so paranoid. So maybe it's good to be a little paranoid and not just like totally careless, I guess. 100%.
It keeps you safe for sure. And like I said, you take your time at it, and so you don't cut your fingers off, and then you end up being a little meticulous about it, and then maybe it turns out pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think you can do it. I support it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to keep you updated on my progress of this
send pics.
bedroom.
Yeah, send pictures.
I'll send pics.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so I guess as a woman in a very male-dominated space, like just like on YouTube and of course with the outdoor adventures and the DIYing and filmmaking, like all of these spaces are very male-dominated.
Yes.
What do you hope women who are watching your videos will walk away with?
I think I would like them to walk away with the like, maybe I can do this thing. Like maybe this is not just for men. Maybe that there is space for me in this world. And I think that's something that I've always found. Like, I don't see a lot of women in the filmmaking space. You see men holding cameras and men on set and men getting the sponsorships. And you're like, well, where's the women? And we can do it. And like, we're just as capable and sometimes maybe more capable than some others, just unfortunately just not considered. So I would just love to like give some women the confidence or even like the inspiration to even just try it. And like kind of picking the level of adventure that they feel would be, good. And I've also had like a couple of men who are like, hey, I want to get my wife out camping. Like, how do I do that? And I'm like, well, don't make them feel bad about bringing their makeup or bringing wipes or like bringing a toilet, figure out what is comfortable and what works, but just like let them, bring the comforts and then
Yes.
see what it's like, be accommodating. Because I think sometimes in certain partnerships, people can make the other one feel bad where they don't feel like it's appropriate to bring makeup. But I'm like, if that is something that is important to that person, bring it and do it. I know there's some people who would just prefer to wake up and wash their face and put a little bit of makeup on and get ready for the day, even at camp. And like, I think that's fine. I think that's great. And so I would just like, let's give women the permission to do what they want to do and like also go out and do the camping, and they don't have to be afraid of bugs. Like, it's okay. You can work through it and poop in a bag, and yeah. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that actually. I've never really thought about that, because it's true. Like, give women permission, and anyone really permission, to just do it the way that they need to do it to feel comfortable. 100%. And I often hear people like saying, oh yeah, I like camping, but I always have to bring my, XYZ, whatever piece of comfort gear it is that they need to bring. And it's like, that doesn't make anybody lesser than or less hardcore or less skilled or experienced or whatever it is. It just means you know what you like. And
yes.
At the end of the day, we're doing this because it's something that we enjoy doing. Why would we not be bringing the things that make it more enjoyable for us?
Yeah, 100%.
So I love that. And so what is something that you have learned about yourself through your years of filmmaking and adventuring and, DIY? I
think the major thing that I've been learning, especially recently, as I've been really pushing into being a little bit more self-sufficient, is that I can do the things. I need to stop telling myself that I can't because I'm a woman, or I can't because, somebody else will be better than me. It's like, I can do it. I just need to literally just try or look it up or whatever. And so I think that, if you have an idea, and especially solo camping, for instance, like when I did that trip last year, I was like, I would love to do this, but I'm so scared. And I could have easily just been like, I'm too scared to do that. And like, that's too far and da-da-da. But like, when we talk about accommodations, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stay at family-friendly campsites. I'm not going to go out in the woods because I'm too afraid to do that. So like, what's going to make me comfortable to do a solo camping trip? So it's like you said, figuring out, what works and doing it. And then that comfort zone kind of expands. And Karina talked about that at the Hamilton Adventure Expo, about the comfort zone. And I think that's something too. It's like, I didn't die. Like, I went and did this thing and didn't die. I got stung by a wasp. Like, and I'm not allergic to wasps. So if you're allergic to wasps, that's different. But like, I got stung by wasps. Well, maybe I'm like a little bit less afraid of that now. So you put yourself in these like situations where you're hopefully not putting yourself in trouble, but like maybe just outside your comfort zone. And then, the thing that I was worried about didn't happen. And so then you start to become more comfortable. So I'm just trying not to let my fear stand in the way of like all of the things that I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like stepping out of your comfort zone just enough to expand your comfort zone a little bit each time. And so who or what inspires you the most right now, whether that is creatively or personally?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think my biggest inspiration has always been that show Departures. Originally sparked that like travel series thing. And I think about it even to this day. I was editing today and I was like, Departures, I don't know. It's weird. But like, of course, seeing other women doing similar things to what I'm doing and killing it, like that's super inspirational. Like, holy shit, I'm on the right track. I can do this. I fit here. I think that's something I feel a lot, especially with overlanding. There's a lot of guys that are into trucks and not a whole lot of women. And there are women, but it's sometimes I just feel like I don't fit, and that can be really discouraging. I've been trying to like be inspired by people who are doing things, but not too influenced when it comes to like what I'm doing, especially now with my new channel. Like, I spent a lot of time watching a lot of stuff and learning things and trying different things and being like, I'm going to make this because this person did it, or like, I want to try this technique. And now I'm like, I just want to make whatever I want to make without the influence of like, if people think it's shit, like that's fine. I just got to make what I want to make. And so I'm trying not to like accept too much influence into my work right now. That's kind of where I'm at with it, but still taking like inspiration and motivation from like fuck yeah, people are also doing it who, other women or whatever. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I guess there is a balance, right? Because it's hard to, you see somebody else doing something that seems to be working too, and you're like, should I just do that because that works for them, but also stay true to yourself and what you really want to be doing. Yeah, 100%. I think too with YouTube it's hard because like if you're trying to grow a channel, it's like, I need to think about the title and the thumbnail and what's going to get clicks and what's going to get subscribers. And like I was caught up in that for a long time. And like when Chris got really burnt out and I was like, whoa, like what's important here? Like, is it our relationship and mental health? And like, sustainability, or is it like getting to 1 million subscribers and having millions of views and like we're not well, but like the channel's doing well and money and like all that stuff? It's like, okay, it kind of resets like priorities. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I've kind of stepped back and be like, okay, I'm just going to make what I want to make and try not to like look too much at what's working with the algorithm right now and what titles and thumbnails. And I feel grateful to be in a position to be able to do that, because I know that that's like, you know, I've been doing YouTube for 8 years, and having clients and a brand built up, like it allows me to kind of be able to do that. But it's a balance.
Yeah, for sure. And just knowing like what you can do sustainably and not burn out, for sure.
So. 100%. Yeah.
And so I know we chatted a bit about it, but what's next for you?
Just being outside, really. All I think about is camping right now. And so it's, in terms of big trips, it's the Teslin River trip, doing the Trans-Labrador Highway, really looking forward to that. That's going to be pretty remote. I think, you guys did that, didn't you, a couple years ago? Trans-Labrador?
We did. Yeah. Yeah, we did. It was really cool. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty like remote, like no cell stuff, which is cool. But like otherwise, just trying to get outdoors as much as possible. Hopefully finish off our bathroom and bedroom that's been torn up for 3 years that we haven't touched, because that's been a nightmare. And eventually build this cabin, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am super excited to follow along. I'm excited to see your perspective of the Trans-Labrador Highway, because that was incredible. So are you guys going all the way to Blanc-Sablon?
Yes, I think Blanc-Sablon. Yeah, I think we're going to go all the way to Blanc-Sablon and then hop over to Flowers Cove, down the west coast of Newfoundland, then take the Port aux Basques ferry and then drive back through the Maritimes. That's the plan right now. But is that the route you guys did too?
Yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Around to Blanc-Sablon, down, and we went into, of course, now I'm going to forget the name of the park there. We did a bunch of hikes. Grossmorn, thank you. Beautiful. But we didn't get a chance to do this, and maybe if you have time, there's a ferry, and of course, I'm not going to remember any of the names, but in Labrador, there's a ferry that actually goes up the coast of Labrador.
Okay.
And back down. We wanted to do it, but we didn't have time. It was it was like an afterthought. We were driving, we're like, oh, we should check the schedule of this ferry, but it allows you to see like the northern communities along the Labrador coast. And so
oh my God,
it's a few days, because you're traveling north for a couple of days and then traveling back. But if you have time while you're up there, it might be a really cool experience.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. On my bucket list is the Torringap Mountains, which is right at the top of Labrador. I would love to go up there, but it is like really remote. You fly in, you have to have like a guide with a gun, because there's polar bears, and that's really scary. But like, man, it looks so, and it is up, it's far, but it is cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I have to say, the Telegraph Creek Road, if you're like into overlanding, you have to do that at some point in your life, for sure.
Is that in the Yukon or in Alaska?
So it's northern BC. So it's like close-ish to the border of Yukon. Not really, but like it's pretty far up there. But it is a beautiful drive all the way up there. And then, the Telegraph Creek Road, it's like on cliffs. And then it's 20% grades. So like you're driving, the signs where it's like 8% or whatever, 20%. So you're just like going down 20%.
That's a butthole pucker right there.
Yeah, literally. And there's like, of course, there's no guardrails or anything.
Yeah, wow.
And you're literally just like looking straight down at the river.
Oh my God.
But it's so beautiful. It reminds me of Utah. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the, I don't know. It's just so, it feels out of this world. So if you ever have a chance, I would recommend that. As an overlander, I would say that's a pretty wicked route to take.
There's a couple of things over there I would love to do. I think that would be an amazing trip. And also I would love to drive to Tuktoyaktuk and then do a cold plunge in the Arctic Ocean. That's like another one of those things that's on my list to do. But it's so far. Well, I mean, as you guys know, because you guys have driven a couple of times from Ontario up there, right? Like your own truck?
Yeah, we've driven up there, and then from Whitehorse we have driven up to, oh my gosh, I don't know the Dempster Highway, which I guess would take you up to Tuktoyaktuk, but we didn't go that far. We just went to I can't think of names today.
It's okay.
The park that's up there, Tombstone. Yeah, we drove up to Tombstone, which is like on the way to Tuktoyaktuk.
Is
But
that the place with the old mummified toe in the whiskey shot or something?
so that is in Dawson, which
Okay.
is just past the Dempster Highway. But definitely, if you're going up to Tuck, then you can definitely go into Dawson. We didn't get a chance to do the toe because we got there so late and the place was closed. And then we had to leave early the next day. But it's like a must see or must do, I guess. And it's such a wicked little town, like, oh, so much history. So,
Yeah.
but I'm sure with all your traveling and adventures, I'm sure you'll find some time to get up that way. I mean, aside
hope
from
so.
your Teslin River trip, of course, but
Yes, yeah. I think too, like with my like new channel, it's given me real like permission again to like do some of this stuff solo, because I've been like, oh, I have to wait for Chris, and Chris works a full-time job and only has a certain amount of vacation, and he doesn't want to be spending all of his vacation doing, maybe in the car for like 3 weeks, but that's what I want to do. So I'm like,
right,
like, let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for you. And so where can people find you to follow along?
So my like overlanding channel, like solo channel, is on YouTube. Nothing epic. It's at Becki Peckham. All my solo stuff is at Becki Peckham on Instagram and YouTube. And then my husband and I, we have a channel called Becki and Chris. That's YouTube, Instagram, and that's pretty much it. We have a website, a little blog. Some of our home projects are on there from like back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, mostly just Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
I don't do
I'll
TikTok.
put the links in the description. Yeah,
Okay.
TikTok is overrated.
I can't do it. It's too scary over there. Somebody got mad that I was using a Ryobi tool once, and I was like, I'm done with this place.
What?
They were like, if you
So
showed up to
random.
my job site with a Ryobi tool, I was like, this is the cheapest tool that I can get, and I am literally a weekend warrior DIY person. Like, who cares?
Like, what? Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
It's like,
people
I
are
can't
so
with this place.
interesting.
Yeah. Brutal.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more, and I look forward to continuing to follow your journey and also just be in communication with you leading up to the Teslin River trip.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the trip, and thanks for asking me to do this. It was great to chat to you and chat with you, and just like hang out for a bit. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks.